everybody and welcome to my first ever top 10 series. So today's series is going to be the top 10 things that pretty much nobody ever knew inside of Cyrodiil. I didn't know some of these and I absolutely guarantee that there will be nobody who knows all of these. Some of these things are diabolically ridiculous, truly amazing, or just a real demonstration of the excellent work from the ES lore team. Now, a quick disclaimer, a very small minority of these require extremely minor bugs. I have had permission from the team to get to these areas just to show them off, to do with all the lore and history, but there is nothing serious that can be done from these, so in terms of exploitation, there's nothing that can actually go wrong. I wouldn't advise going to them just in case, but either way, I'm giving you a great demonstration here on this video just to show you how amazing some of these places were and how well some of the ES history was actually designed. I hope you guys enjoy this. This is obviously my first ever top 10, and I will promise that this will start from things that maybe some of you know to one that I would be almost certain nobody know. It's going to be good, I promise you, and if you do have any other top 10s you'd like to see in the past, I'll look in the comments, especially if there's some really interesting ideas, I'll definitely do it. And again, if I need any permission from the ZeniMax team for anything particular, I'll do my best to get that for you guys. I hope you enjoy the video. So at number 10, we have the so-called PermaAmp. Now, there is an extremely small minority of people ever knew this existed, but I have put it at number 10 because I think there are going to be some people who do know that this is the case. Now, what a PermaAmp is quite literally what it says on the screen. Now, I should point out, you're not going to get all the bonuses, but you can keep the Emperor title for all of time, and there is no way to ever change that. How this essentially works, what is going to happen when ZeniMax close a campaign is they block off the campaign. It is not removed from the game, it is simply inaccessible to the public. So each campaign is coded by a specific number. For example, in the past, True Flame might have been 17, Vivek might be 32, etc. They will block off that number, but the campaign still essentially exists and the keep structure remains the same. So when people from the past have had an Emperor title, at the very end of the campaign when it closes completely, they are still impossible to dethrone. So they are still technically an Emperor on that campaign, will keep the title. You can't do much else, but probably the coolest title in the game. So at number 9, we have the Roof Siege. Now, again, a few of you might have known this. I promise as we move on, there'll be less and less knowledge about some of these areas and tricks. When it comes to the Roof Siege, as far as I know, this was made by Izanagi's group on PCEU during about the 4th patch of the game. And what this essentially is a siege that can break, quite literally, the entirety of the keep's progress. What will happen is when you are in the top of the roof, you can actually siege the stairwell coming up. And if you have enough people or enough time or enough skill to manage to get that stairs down, it can become extremely difficult for the enemy to actually get upstairs. This was often abused in the past with scroll farming, and people would get a scroll up there, break down the stairs in a strong group, and the enemy would have no chance at all. In the past, it was incredibly hard to even get these guys up there whatsoever, because you could not use any gap closer apart from ambush to get up. You would have to make a jump that, believe me, is extremely difficult to do because of the way the graphics work in that area. These days, not so big, since you can gap close through the sky, it's a little easier to get in, but it's still really cool and definitely worthy of a spot on our top 10. At number 8, we have one that I honestly never knew. This is the climbable tree located just between Nickel and Ash around the Lion area. So it's a pretty obvious tree once you do see it because of the angle. I can't believe I've never seen it before, but there's a lot of cool places you can go from here. As you can see, the tree is about a 45-degree angle. It's completely walkable. All you have to do is walk up that tree. But from this tree, we can also progress to tons of areas along the side rocks. It's going to be a lot easier with a sword, simply using streak from the rocks. It is possible with a horse if you are very, very good. I tried this, failed miserably, but maybe some of you guys can manage to explore. Have a really good explore around this rock area. Not only is this going to be an awesome place for sorcerers to sort of 1vx or small scale PvP, but it's also a really cool landscape. There's a lot of areas you can really get around the map. On these rocks, you can climb seriously high. I only had a small exploration myself, but I have seen some videos from the person who showed me this, and it's really, really cool where you can get around. Very, very, very nice bug. Well, maybe it's not even a bug. I don't know. But this tree is a bit of a cool feature, and I love it. So, yeah, there's your number 8. At number 7, we have probably the most obvious feature that nobody has ever noticed. I say nobody. Of course, there are still a few people. We're not quite on our number 1 yet. But this is an area that is ridiculous. You would never even believe it, and it was amazing how few people can actually see it. Once you realise where this is, you truly will never forget it again. But underneath the Ayleswell stairs, just north of the keep, there is a hole, and it's been there since beta, and you can actually walk underneath this hole, do whatever you like in there. It's a brilliant 1vx environment. And not only that, I don't know if it still remains the case, but summoning an Atronach or any other summoned ultimate, I don't know if it would work with a Warden Bear, perhaps, maybe someone could try. You used to be able to get the ultimate to permanently spawn, since it didn't actually resemble as part of the map, and so was never able registered as an ability. Now, unfortunately, I know in the past that ultimate could never attack, but still, it looked pretty cool to summon a load of Atronachs down there, and no idea if it still works. But either way, the stairs are a brilliant example of some of the graphics that you can get around in Cyrodiil, and I'm sure some of you can make use of that in some PvP action. Taking our number 6 spot, we have the so-called Corner Siege, quite literally, because that is exactly what you do. Now, you would be surprised exactly how much you can do with this. There will be a minority of people who do know that you can siege the corner of a keep without ever registering a keep under attack. But how many of you knew that you can actually enter a keep simply by doing this? And this can be done not only with help from the enemy, but also completely randomly by the enemy pugs. What you're essentially going to do is you're going to hit the corner of the wall until you reach 0% health. Once that corner of the wall hits 0% health, the wall will drop down, as with any other wall, and will break. You can't enter the keep because there is a natural break between the wall and the actual keep itself. However, if an enemy repairs that keep, what will happen is you will then register as inside the keep, since the landscape is inside of that keep. And lo and behold, you will be inside the keep. So you have not done any form of bug abuse here. You have sieged the keep. You've entered the keep through legitimate means. And you are now inside the keep without ever registering the keep under attack. Now, quick disclaimer. I did mention that you could do this with the help of an enemy. Obviously, there might be problems with that in a proper serious advantage. In the case of this clip, I'm just showing it for pure demonstration. But what I should mention here is that if you master actually getting this siege down, if you were a Nightblade, you could simply cloak on this area. And if you've attracted enough pugs, rest assured those pugs are going to repair. They love a good repair. And if you can manage to hide in there, lo and behold, you can have a very sneaky attack on your enemy. So for a quick bonus clip, we're going to go into some hardcore ES lore. Any of you role players amongst you might really enjoy this sort of stuff. There are a ton of NPCs around the world in Cyrodiil that you just never would have realised were even present. I didn't know some of these. I would be certain nobody know all of these. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Surprise me in the comments if you do. But let's show you a few of the places. We have anything ranging from a talking stone related to a sculptor's disaster. I don't know where this piece of lore is from. I wish I did, because it's a really cool story behind it. Essentially, this person was entrapped. Their soul was entrapped in the statue just located east of Bleakers. Nickel. Definitely Nickel. Located east of Nickel. And what's going to happen is he's going to talk about how he wants to escape and how he needs a master sculptor to get him out. Maybe even in the future there could be a quest. Maybe it's related to some lore. I don't know. But I thought this one was a really, really cool one. Outside of that, we've also got a necromancer who has resummoned their wife from the dead, leaving her ever so lonely to clean. If you do, obviously attack the wife, though, he gets a bit angry. So maybe don't attack the wife unless you really want to fight the husband. I think it's a cool little Easter egg there, but not as good as the Easter egg of Oblivion. So this one, my stream actually advised me about. And essentially there is a blue ghost can spawn rarely around the lakes at Sejanus. And this ghost is related to some Oblivion lore. I don't know too much about the lore around this. Maybe, again, some people could shed some light in the chat. But I thought it was really, really cool. I personally never knew this one until I was told about it. Maybe it's not something serious, but essentially anyone really interested in the lore should be pretty interested in this one. Lastly, of course, we have the Immortal Bear. Many of you may have seen this one, so this one perhaps a bit more common. This is related to one of the quests in the game, but is considered to be the only legitimate NPC to be truly immortal in this game. There are a few others, such as the Daedroths on the Icy Bridge, but they're intended to be immortal. This one, who knows? I just know that it's entirely related to a quest line. It's quite a cool quest line. And yeah, you can't attack him, but you can see his health, you can see his damage selection. I think it's a cool bear. Moving on to some of the big boy ones. So we have the Blade of Woe. Considered one of the most useless items in the game, following the Thieves Guild and Gold Coast quest lines, this essentially can one-shot an NPC from stealth. But did you know that you can actually do this on many of the IC bosses? How this works. The Blade of Woe is designed when stealth behind an enemy that is a humanoid, you can instacast to execute them, and it's designed for thieving purposes. But many of the bosses in IC are classed as humanoids, and all you have to do is sneak up behind them, cast the Blade of Woe, and lo and behold, you have a dead boss. Nice and easy way to get your boss kills. I assume this will be patched pretty soon. I assume it's a bug. No idea if that's the case, but I think that it's a really, really cool minor one, and yeah, I never knew about this one either, so really, really cool light for me. At number 3, probably my favourite spot in the whole of Cyrodiil. Completely legitimate, absolutely incredible environment, and one of the best, if not the best, scroll farming places in the game. So-called Shays Oil Tower, after he found this during the early stages of the game. So this tower essentially is located in the South DC base, and what you're going to have to do is climb up the tower slowly and surely. This is very, very difficult to do unless you are pretty experienced with this sort of stuff. I hope you've got a lot of free time if you do want to try it. It's completely legitimate. There's no bug abuse whatsoever to get to this place. And what you're going to have to do is slowly climb around the ring. Now, as you reach the later stages towards the top of the keep, you're going to have to jump upwards and left from a crouched position, blocking. That way you'll get too little forward momentum and a bit of left momentum, which will get you up the step. And towards the very end, there is once more a step. Once you reach the upper ledge and are looking to jump to the final section back on yourself, all you're going to have to do is drop your block, uncrouch, and jump normally and forwards. Though, of course, if you do mess up any of these jumps, I'm afraid it's back to the start and up you climb. Now, what's so amazing about this is if you were to get the scroll to this area and were a skilled jumper, and this is something that I've seen in the past on the EU server, you can actually get to the very, very top of this tower and you can place an oil. This could potentially be, I would go as far as saying definitely the most dangerous oil position in the entire game, because it's completely unreachable by anything unless they can manage to climb the keep. And they're going to have to climb this tower while you have an oil pouring down on them and your group probably towards the top of the tower. And they have to go all the way up the spiral through these complex jumps. So I think this is an incredible spot in terms of farming. Either way, it's a really, really cool piece of environment. There's a lot of really nice environment that I haven't shown in this video. I do have footage for, but I decided to leave out just to keep the video appropriately short and really down to the core ones. But I think this one especially is just an incredibly cool spot. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one. Moving on now to our number 2 spot, we have Babel. Very, very few people will know this island. Actually, originally, when the game was created, was intended to be released to the game. And not only that, if you do get inside of the island, which is possible through very, very minor bugs, you can actually demonstrate how ready this place was to be released. Almost all buildings are complete or very, very close to complete. But there are also spawns for heavy stacks and runestones located throughout the area. I didn't find any other spawns, and unfortunately I didn't have any of that recorded, but I know that my group found both of these things, and you can get so far through this area. It's an incredible place. How you generally get from there is you're going to want to swim from the keep waters across to the town, work your way all the way around the town, and then a series of complex jumps and atronach jumps can get you inside the actual town upon the bridge. You can walk all the way through this town. Like I said, it's completely lootable. These areas were intended to release for the game, but no longer are the case. Either way, the outside of the area is entirely accessible without any even minor bug, and you can actually bring all sorts of stuff there, including a scroll, for example, to farm, and groups are going to have to get across that slaughterfish water, or a lot more. I don't know if it's worth exploring. I think it's an incredibly cool area. I hope it's released in future content, because in my opinion, some of these buildings in this town, the size of them, the scale of them, the beauty of them, really would be an amazing area for PvP, especially sort of double-story or triple-story churches. Really, really cool area. It would be really nice to see that. I didn't explore it fully. I just gave it a little scan. But in general, it's an amazing, amazing place. And I hope that at least the majority of people have never actually seen the inside of this town, because it is pretty difficult to get there. When you do walk backwards, you will eventually despawn back to your home base. All that you're going to have to do that is walk towards the AD base, and eventually it will register you back in the base, and it'll be home sweet home without having to stuck, saving yourself 146 gold. But yeah, really nice place. Amazing piece of ES lore. I don't know where it's from in the past, but I know that, again, it was intended to be released. In the end, never was. but maybe it will be in the future. Moving on to our number 1 spot. Quite potentially the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen. There is some incredible stuff behind here. Now, unfortunately, I did promise the staff that I would never show how this is done, and hopefully the breach is patched soon. But some of the landscape outside of the Imperial City is truly incredible. There are so many developer notes that you would not even believe it. All sorts of things ranging from the names of the zones to maps of how the bosses would rotate, located deep, deep, deep below the general scenery of the outer area. A lot of this is graphically incomplete since it was never intended to be used, but there are, like I said, developer notes, small amounts of land that were considered. There's even siege located behind the keeps, obviously launching into some of the districts. A really nice way of doing that. But the reason I include this as my number 1 is purely down to lore. Again, there is nothing we could do negative from outside of here. It doesn't hurt anyone. But outside is some of the coolest lore you could possibly believe. 2 of the zones were named differently during the actual creation of the Elder Scrolls Online Imperial City DLC, compared to how they are actually demonstrated during the developer notes. So when the developers first made Elven Gardens, they seem to have considered a pun, Elven Gardens, quite literally as guard, G-U-A-R-D, probably to do with all the NPCs guarding the general area around there. And I think that's quite a cool one. But not quite as cool as Memorial, where that was completely renamed from Market based on previous Elder Scrolls series. And it was changed from Market to Memorial. I have no idea why. But in the developer notes, you can see on the floor the word Market located as to how they were originally going to actually call the zone. I never knew this bit of lore. I was shared by some people from my Discord. But I do think the actual developer notes are so cool to see. And just the general history behind the area is incredibly cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the series. Again, if you did, please hit the like button. Show me that love. And I will make plenty more of these. If you do have any you'd love to see, no matter what it is, bang it in the description. I do always read everything in the chat. And yeah, I'll be sure to examine. And if there's anything that really catches my eye, I'll get it out as soon as I can. So hit that like button, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.